The alarming rise in sextortion and child exploitation cases prompted a Canadian cybersecurity expert to launch a program in schools. He says many parents think their children are just interacting with their friends online, and that is among the biggest mistakes we can make.
Over the last decade, Paul Davis has connected with hundreds of thousands of students across the U.S. and Canada. After the deaths of Riley Bassford and Shylin Dixon, the Potsdam and Lisbon school districts brought in Davis to talk to students.
They've got a wonderful gift called curiosity, but curiosity with technology and isolation and global connectivity is why a lot of our kids are getting hurt online.
His mission: to protect kids and empower adults to keep them safe, urging parents to pay attention to what their children are doing online.
But the reality is we need to develop relationships with our children and take an interest in what they're doing online, not making assumptions that, they're smart enough, we trust them, leave them to their own devices. That we need to build a relationship of understanding as to what's happening online. Incredibly, incredibly important.
Davis says technology has no place in your child's bedroom and encourages moms and dads to adopt the motto, wait until 8, saying parents should not give their kid a device until they're in 8th grade.
It's not a game. This could be happening to your child as you watch this video.
In 2019, the FBI warned parents that predators were targeting children. Federal investigators say 500,000 predators are active online every day, with kids 12 to 15 most at risk. Amid the threat, the FBI here in New York released a PSA called It's Not a Game, urging parents to watch out for their children online.
It takes only a few days, sometimes just hours, to groom your child into sending compromising photos to the person on the other end of that chat. Then the threats begin. If you lock your doors at night to protect your family from an intruder, you should be locking down your computers. It's that simple.
Davis says children should stay off social media until they're 13. And if kids are into gaming online, Davis says a small investment can pay off in the long run.
When you read all the bad stories of Roblox online, they're actually true, except they're preventable. To let your child have Roblox and play in the free part where it's just well documented, there are all these strangers and bad guys out there, that's where the kids get in trouble. So the platform is amazing when the parent is educated.
Instead of letting them roam free in the world of online gaming, Davis says parents should buy their children a private server so they can play with their real friends, not strangers.
The risks associated with letting them play in what they perceive to be as a private game can be damaging. The one thing I find most disturbing is that when I hear the parents say, I trust my child.
After a year of giving kids more online freedom during the pandemic, Davis says it's time for parents to rein it in.
It's time to be a parent. You're allowed to say no. No has not left the English dictionary. Oh, I made the choice to give it to you. Guess what? You're a parent. You're allowed to take it back.
We reached out to Roblox, that popular online gaming site. The company tells us that they work with police and safety groups to report any suspected child exploitation, abuse, or online grooming.
Are these two deaths of children in the North Country triggering change beyond the classrooms in the local schools? Those districts, they bring in this security expert, this expert on online behavior. But what about other schools?
Yeah, and this is something that many schools are starting to talk about. Last May, State Senator Patty Ritchie introduced a bill that would require the State Office of Mental Health and the State Education Department to develop a curriculum to teach suicide prevention, social media safety, and cyberbullying in high schools.
Yes, I take this very seriously. This is something that's a priority for me. It doesn't matter how good a parent or grandparent you are, you can't be over their shoulder all the time watching it.
The bill State Senator Patty Ritchie proposed currently sits in the Mental Health Committee. It does have an assembly sponsor, but no word yet on when it could be voted on. And I want to go back to something that cybersecurity expert said, Michael. He said, what bothers me so often is that parents say, I trust my kid. And I think all of us want to trust our kids and say, we have good kids. This could never happen to them.
Sounds very nice.
But he says you really do need to be careful and make sure that you are involved, that you know what your kids are doing on the internet.
Like, who would have any idea? I'm getting texts from parents right now that are thinking, I've got to go into the chat within the game.
Yeah.
Because these games have chat features. I've got to go in there and see what's going on here.
And as he said, make sure that they're in a private server, not the public one. You can buy gift cards that will get them into that private server.
That's good to know. We've gone over what investigators are looking for in all of this, what social media companies do and don't do, what lawmakers say they're trying to do. So what can happen in your house right now?
That's what I asked the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children next. We know the danger exists, but what can we do as parents to protect our kids? This week, I sat down with Lindsay Olson with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. We know that children are on social media. What is the biggest mistake that they're making that could put them at risk for becoming a victim?
That's a great question. Children are sharing information about themselves that we would probably prefer that they didn't share, and then sharing content that they're creating, with either people they know or people they don't know. I think children don't often realize the consequences of their actions.
What kinds of conversations do parents need to be having with their children?
Parents need to be talking about internet safety, sharing information, what's too much to share, where their kids are going online. Parents should pick up their own phone and download the apps that their kids are using and figure out how to use and what their kids can do on those apps or gaming systems, using the parental controls that already exist, be engaged, learn about the different places their children are going online, learn how to play the video games that your kids are playing, and, figure out, are they able to communicate with people they don't know in real life? And I think there's a false sense of security that parents might have thinking, oh, my child's, downstairs in their playroom, playing on their PlayStation with their friends, or just on their phone watching videos. And it really is a false sense of security where you may not know who your child's communicating with. It's absolutely better to have those conversations now. And it's never too late to start that conversation.
Never too late to start that conversation. If you suspect your child has become a victim of sextortion or child exploitation, you can file a report with the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center. You can also report an incident to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children by calling 1-800-THE-LOST or by going to cybertipline.org. We will have both of these links for you for the resources on our website at cnycentral.com. And if you are having thoughts about harming yourself or know someone who is, make sure to talk to someone. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is available 24 hours a day, 1-800-273-8255.
Of course, all of this comes back to three faces, three families forever missing them. Proof tonight that thoughts of, well, this can never happen in my family, are simply wrong.
Their lives were just beginning when they logged onto their computers, and that is when everything started to spiral out of control. Their families want you to know their children's stories so you can keep your kids safe. And they want you to have those difficult conversations with your kids, one those families wish they could only have now.
The conversation is difficult. It's been difficult for me to listen to some of this tonight. At first, it was difficult for me to say the word sextortion. But that is the term that we should be using, because that's what it is.
It is real. It is a threat, and child exploitation in general has exploded, as you heard tonight, particularly during the pandemic.
Megan, thank you. Thank you for this deep and troubling and informative investigation. I'm Michael Benny. For Megan Coleman, good night.